Okay, a little different camera than I'm normally using. It's a, it's an iPhone 7 Plus or something, and we'll see what the video difference is. I'm out here in the garage on my handy workstation, also known as the garbage can, and this is the project that I've been working on for a while. And originally I was going to run some 8 gauge copper wire. Let me back up a second. Literally, I was going to run, this is going to be a loop antenna, and it goes on a post here, and you tighten it down, and then it clamps down on the top of the post up there. And obviously, being aluminum and clamping to an aluminum post, this is going to be grounded, and I'll have a ground going to ground, but that means that the cable needs to be not touching this, obviously. So the 14 gauge cable, or 6 gauge copper wire, is what I envisioned using. And what I was actually going to do is, I have poly nuts and washers and screws. I was just going to wrap it around and then come around and solder it to each other and have it on two sides. You can see they're a little bit long there, extra length. And I was figuring, well, you know what, it's rigid, it's probably not going to touch, but this expanse, this is like 20, just short of 2 feet, and that's just short of 3 feet. The copper sags. There's no way about it. There's, at some point, now, let me back up, literally, again. This is going to be a receive only for my SDR software, okay? And I've got a magnetic loop antenna already. You know, it's okay. It works. And probably if I knew how to operate it better, that's the little camera there. I could probably get better stations in with it, but I figured, hey, let's get something that maybe if I ever get my head out of my backside long enough to get my ham license, that I could actually transmit off of. So it's going to be a dual. And I figured, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering, I had figured by having copper wire on both sides of it, it would be the equivalent, bridged, connected, that it would be the equivalent of a, like an inch wide copper band and copper strap, and maybe give me a little bit better sensitivity and receptivity. So, and starting to do it yesterday, it became very apparent after manhandling a 6 gauge copper cable that my soldering iron just wasn't up to the task, and I probably needed a torch to heat it up to get it to solder together somewhere over here. Then I started thinking about it. It's like, well, it's going to touch. So I started thinking, well, you know what I'm going to do over here, you know, just join them over here and then have it come down, run along the pole. Well, I also had the brilliant idea of getting some tubing, some 1/4 inch outside diameter tubing. And how do I know that? Because, you know, it's right there. And feeding the line through there and going from there, the span with the tubing, with the copper and sheathed in it. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously the whole soldered together 8 gauge cable tubing idea, that's kind of a bust. But I also had this, okay, and this is a partial roll. the beauty of Home Depot is that if there's a partial roll of cable, they'll pretty much, you know, cut you a deal and sell it to you for just about anything that you want. And I have no idea what size this is, and I'm kind of torn. I haven't made 100% commitment to it yet, because what's going to need to have happen is I'm going to have to cut this and these links from here to here, from there to there, there, and it's going to have to be fed all down that cable and then worked around the perimeter. And what I intend to do is there's a washer in there, is wrap it around 1 or 2 turns and go over here 1 or 2 turns and give tension here, and then go that run, turn, 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 turn. Well, to have this on there, it's going to need to be on there. So, and looking at it now, I was wondering, you know, I've got speaker wire that I could probably just wrap around the thing, split it in half, and have it on both sides. And it comes with a sheath on it, and then just gather the ends and splice it. So I think this is more creative and probably far more work. And it just occurred to me, I know that's hard to believe, well, probably not hard to believe, it just occurred to me as I started to come down here to do this, that I do have that speaker wire upstairs, and this is going to be a nightmare. And for limited better quality, when I could use this for something else. So I think I'm going to go upstairs, I'm going to get that speaker wire and use the speaker wire and save this and this for another battle when I need to have some of this shielded, and save this for, I don't know, a random length in-fed antenna or something similar, versus putting it on here. So I'm going to pause this here and we'll be right back. Okay, here is the speaker wire, and it's 25 feet, and I believe that 25 feet is going to be plenty for this little project. And instead of stripping the wires and connecting them, you know, at every connection, I believe for right now, at least, at some point I may go back like with a soldering iron and melt the insulation at these junctures, but I'm just going to have them come off and hang down and join all 4. There'd be one coming, one coming, one coming, one coming, and have them all together, solder them together into one connection to connect to. So let me get cracking. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not, if it's clear. It is wrapped around every post, both sides, and the cables are coming up this side. I will join them together here, and probably what I'm going to do is, after I tighten down all the nuts and bolts, screws and nuts, I'm probably just going to tie a knot in the cables here off this corner, and then cut them and pull the insulating sheath off of them and twist them all together into one bundle. And then it will be the bare bones of my, basically just a loop antenna, two-sided or something. All right, here we are. This part of the project is complete, and I'm probably going to cut the video off here. You'll notice that all four go into one, and at some point I will solder this and run a some heat shrink tubing up it to at least a part of it. And they're not all the exact same tensions. They're the exact same lengths, but they're not the same tensions, and I don't believe that's going to do anything to it. I mean, as far as all that goes, this side, I mean, you could have a doggone banjo, dueling banjo contest. But that reminds me that here in the South, and you know that I kayak, and one of the number one things that I tell people when they go out kayaking with me is that if you hear the banjos, paddle faster. So I'm going to end this video here right now, and it will stand like that, and you won't even be able to tell that the not that it's important that you do or do not see the wires, but you won't be able to see the wires standing up very well, and it'll be fed off of there. And I'm thinking that the entire thing, I'll probably put a through wall bulkhead mount and mount it to this somewhere, and run a ground line. Probably use that as ground wire to ground it, and then just use a center feed off of a SO239 or SL259, whichever one that is. Before I close this video, my son called me, and I'm going to put this over here. You call this, and he's like, "Dad, you know there's a tripod on that thing. You know, it doesn't have to be that unstable." I'm like, "You're kidding me." He goes, "No." So, Blake, you're a genius. You can indeed, right there on the base, part of the deal are these feet that do indeed make the entire deal. It helps that the propane tank's in there square. But it does give it a lot more width and stability for putting taller things on it, or heavier things on it. So, thank you, Blake. You're an official show contributor. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, consider subscribing, and thanks for hanging out. Bye.